All right, you guys. This is a first. We'll see how this works, but we are going live now. Alan Paul here of God and Gigs, and this is our checkup live, which we are doing from Instagram for the first time ever. At the same time that we're doing Facebook and YouTube. So thanks for joining me wherever you're joining me. If you're watching on replay, which is okay, because I totally get that most times when we do this live, we don't announce it, which is okay. Like I said, I just wanted to jump in right away when I saw there was an opportunity and share what's going on in our community, share what I can do to help you to not be one of these creators going into 2023 with the same problem that you had going into 2024 with the same problem that you had in 2023. If you're watching on any of these platforms, let me know that you're watching. We'd love to bring up your comments and let you know that we are with you as creators who are trying to come become the creative that you were creative to be as I try to get my words out. So let me put this in. And that's where I'll be able to see your comments. So let me know where you're watching from. And let me tell you that this is probably our last creative checkup of the year as far as going live. It's been an amazing 2023 for God and Gigs. I hope it's been an amazing year for you. And here's why I wanted to go live. And I picked this topic because it's something that hasn't changed throughout the entirety of our existence as God and Gigs. It's really for artists, no matter where you go, we're still dealing with the same problem. And that is, why are creatives still broke? Why are we still missing out on what seems to be a huge creator economy? And yet you'll find more and more people saying, "You can make it in this industry." They can't figure out how to monetize. That's the number one word everybody says, monetizing. No one knows how to get, so whether it's sponsorships or affiliate income or whatever, Substacks, and monetizing your email list. And then for artists, selling tickets, streaming. I mean, you name it. There's a million things that are going on. And it seems like we cannot seem to figure out how to make money. Hello, good to see you, brother. Joe Daniel Wilson from Jamaica. Okay, thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining me. So what we're going to be doing and talking about, how can we go into 2024 and not be starving artists, basically. That's the number one goal for today. And then, of course, the overarching thing is, of course, to connect with all of you who are either new to God and Gigs and letting you know what we're all about here at God and Gigs, or if you've been in part of God and Gigs for a long time and you just want to connect with the community. And we do that in our 360 community, which is our membership. But I want to do that out here where everybody can get in on it. So, why are creatives still broke? Well, if you're asking that question, here's two possibilities. Either you're not broke and you're wondering how can we help less creators not be broke, or you are one of the broke creators. Let's be honest. Like, we're on one or the other. Either you found a way to monetize, to make a living doing what you love. You found a way that to get these resources into your life, that God has given you a gift to create, and you found a way to make it where, even if it's not your full-time job, and I want to make that very clear, forever in this community, we have never made a distinction between those who are full-time and those who are not. It is all about the multiple streams of income, the different ways that God pours into our lives and that we pour back out, that we give value, and then people give value back to us. And it could be in any way, shape, or form. I myself, you could call my life bivocational. You could say trivocational. I don't know what you would call it vocational, but as a podcaster, as a musician, and as a church staff member working in a church, I have several different ways that my income comes to me. They all always ended up being creative, but they're definitely not just one size fits all. And so that's where I want to come in with you. So first thing I want to ask you is, honestly, what side are you on? Are you on the struggling, starving artist side where it's like, man, I've been trying to figure this out and I simply do not know where the income is supposed to come from? Am I supposed to be selling more tickets to my thing? Am I supposed to be working on streaming income and becoming a YouTuber? Am I supposed to be selling physical products? Am I supposed to be doing this, that, the other thing? And you have all these questions, and like none of them seem to fit. And all 2023, you spent trying to figure this out. All 2023, you were trying this, trying that, trying Instagram, trying social media, trying this, all the tries, right? Tried all the tries, and none of them seem to work. And you're like, why is this not working? If everybody else I see says they'll be able to do this thing and this thing and this thing, and all those things work for them, but they don't work for me. Or, like I said, maybe you're on the other side where you have some strategies that have worked and you do know how to use your gifts, that your God-given gifts, to create income, to create multiple streams of income. And again, this does not mean they all come from the same place. This means that you figured out a way that you can be what I call an established creative. You're established because no matter what happens with the economy, no matter what happens, you're able to go out and change things. You can start up a different income stream. You can figure out how to use your money, use your music, or use your art, or use your creative life, or use your photography, and you can find avenues in which you make money. And that, again, is not necessarily meaning they all come from that specific creative thing. And let me give you a case. I love using this example because it's my example, and this maybe will help you. Um, I have worked in ministry. I've worked in full-time teaching as a public school teacher. I have worked as a part-time everything in terms of not really having either one of those full-time jobs where I was simply doing the side hustles all along with gigging and things like that. I've been a professional musician for years. Now, all of those jobs, all those things have come together, but let me show you how they actually came together to where these multiple income streams actually worked. You see, for a while, I was simply doing this podcast, The God and Gig Show, as a side project. It really never took off in terms of monetization at that time. I was simply wanting to serve the audience. I wanted to help you as creatives. So I was interviewing people and I wrote my book over here, God and Gigs. But that never really became any kind of source of income. The podcast itself never had sponsorship. I did 100 episodes or so, and it was never any sponsors or anything like that. So you could call it a labor of love. Now, fast forward to 2 years ago. Now, I've been all that time I was playing at my church, which was also, I guess you could say, a part-time income as well. But I mean, again, you see different sources there. Now, it was at that time that my pastor tapped me and said, "Hey, you're doing a podcast." And I said, "Yeah, I'm doing a podcast for my creative friends." He said, "Well, guess what? We're starting a podcast here at our church. We want you to run it." So my experience, had I not started the podcast for myself that was not monetized, I would not have gained the skills which I was then able to use in a full-time position as a podcast producer. And I was able to learn on the job and be now that more centralized style traditional job is direct result of my work in this other area. So you can see that you might say, okay, well, is your podcast monetized? Yes and no. It's not making the money that it's supposed to, supposedly, if I was going to make a full-time job from the specific podcast, but the skills I developed allowed me to then leverage that knowledge into a whole nother position. So the key is, as you can see, is not thinking of it linearly, like, oh, all I can do is find out one way to make money, and it has to come through that way. It's changing your mindset to how do all of my skills, can they connect the dots between maybe something in my music career, maybe something in my artistic career, something in my creative, something in teaching, something connect the dots with people. So that's the example I wanted to give you so that you can see that this is not about just, "Hey, I have to start this thing, create a music career," whatever it is. And by the way, let me know, JD, if you're watching, where not doing not where you watch from. Tell me that, but I want you to tell me what your creative thing is, so I know if I'm addressing your issue because maybe you're a musician, maybe you're a creative of another sort, another niche. You talk about, like, how you are trying to do this. I'm assuming from keys that you're a musician, 'cause I'm like, my name, I use 88 keys all the time, so I'm assuming that's music, but I don't wanna assume anything. So, As you can see, what I'm telling you right now is that it's not a one size fits all. So let me explain a few ways that creatives kind of mess this up and how we can avoid these mistakes. The first thing I think creators oftentimes do is that we do get very scared of the business side of being creative. So many people in our groups, in our memberships, they say things like, "Well, I'm a creative. I'm not good with numbers. I'm not good with contracts. I'm not good with this. I'm not good with that." They divide a line between the music and the business, the creativity and the business. Here's what I want to tell all of you who are watching who are struggling with the line because I'm not a business person. I don't want to think about numbers and contracts and things like that. I want to give you the example of Michelangelo. You may know Michelangelo as the guy that painted the Sistine Chapel, the Statue of David, all these incredible artworks. He's a keyboard. Okay, good. You're a keyboardist like me. All right, cool, cool. You were together on this. Okay, so this whole we can talk shop when it comes to music and being a keyboardist. Okay, but the story of Michelangelo is that he, even though people see him as this amazing artist that was brilliant, was also a very astute business person. And you see, what Michelangelo did is he made sure that he was always connected to the right people that would support his gift so that he would have time and have the resources to focus on his art. Now he poured himself into his art. He did some incredibly, like, crazy things. I won't get into deep it because it's kinda, like, crazy, almost a little bit, like, unnerving to talk about the things he did to get as good as he was, but he always did it with the goal of making money. He didn't divorce his art from his business sense. He realized that the business made the art possible and the art made the business possible. They had to coexist. They could not be this artificial line to say, as soon as I put down my keyboard, I then turn into a business person, and as soon as I turn into a business person, I can't be creative. Some of the most creative business you know is done right here and done through the art world and through your creative life. God doesn't divorce those 2, okay? He doesn't say, "Oh, you can't be both." Now, do you have to work on some skills in order to be better at your business and be able to think like that? Of course, but same thing with music, same thing with art. You practice the art of music, you practice of creativity, you practice photography, you practice painting, you practice all of these other things. Why not practice how to think like a business? John Sibelius said it like this, he said he didn't wanna talk to musicians about music all the time. He said, "Talk to business people because they are much more interested in art," and it's a strange thing, but this is true. If you look at who actually supports the arts, it's usually not artists for obvious reasons. A lot of them don't have the resources. So who are the people who actually are paying attention to the art world and to the music? Who are the people who are actually making things happen? People in business. And this doesn't mean that there shouldn't be, like, artists that are really out there in front, but it just means that you should change your mindset. Don't think of business as something that is not something you can deal with. It's something that you have to deal with. Embrace. You can embrace the business idea, and you don't have to be afraid of what, um, contracts and all the other you don't have to be afraid of it. That's the first problem that happens, that most musicians and creatives, like, just shy away from that, and then they don't wanna touch it, and then they're worried that, "Oh, okay, well, now I'm broke. I all I can do is just this one thing to make money." If there's any book I could suggest to you right away, especially you, Joanna over there, it's a book called The Savvy Musician, and I have always, always loved this book. I might have it. Let me turn my back to you guys. I actually have The Savvy Musician still here because it's usually right on my bookcase. It's one of my favorite books. I don't think I have it still. No, I don't see it. But oh, there it is. There it is. That's one of my absolute favorites. You gotta go check out The Savvy Musician. This is still out. I think it might be out of print. It's by David Cutler. And the reason why I'm just gonna tell you to check out this book is because there's so much in this book that I put in my own book and reference that has to do with thinking like a musician that can make multiple sources of income work. And it really does come down to what I call in my book, respect the business. It's not thinking that you can't handle it. It's thinking, how are my different skills applicable to what I'll say next, which is the second key, creating value. How can I create value through my art? And that is not just oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. So glad you got yeah, I'm definitely recommending that. So, what I am absolutely, absolutely sure of is most of us think too simple when it comes to making money with our creative life. I think, as I said in my first example, you think, "I gotta sell tickets, I gotta sell streams, I gotta sell CDs, I gotta sell music." So let's just talk about some of just options, okay? I'm just gonna go through and matter of fact, I might even reference the book right now because I can see I got tons of tabs. So I may not even have I won't reinvent the wheel. I'm just gonna read, find this one of these pages where it says so many different ways of making money. See opportunities for marketing that. I wanna find a page where it talks about that 'cause there's like so many different ways of making money. But let's talk about the simplest ones. Simplest ones are obviously where your time and your value is made by actually performing. You actually perform, you show up, you create something that's the actual physical act of creating the art for the person right then and there. So there's always performance, right? Performance is direct result. I play, you pay, that kind of thing. Okay, so there's that. But there's also the value you create where it is not necessarily transactional. It's not that you play for someone. That's a transaction. There's also value in what I would call curation. There's value in what you create, and there's value in how you create it, and there's value in you knowing where creations are. There's value in you knowing how to put things together, the curation. Think about the museum. People pay millions of dollars a year to go see these fancy museums, right? Somebody had to put all that stuff together. Somebody got paid to curate an experience. Somebody got paid because they know where to go. They didn't make they they didn't the curator of the museum did not paint everything. They did not make all the things. They knew how to put all the things together so that somebody could come to a central place and find all the art. That is also a way to create value. Hello, good to see you. Ella oh, great question. Okay, I'm gonna answer that in a second. Good to see you, man. Real good to have you here, brother. So there is so much value in you being a person who knows how to put things together. Nothing can be done so many different ways. You can think about yourself even in terms of how you connect with your audience, with your customers, with your emails, with your YouTubes, all this stuff. Create a community that you can connect with, and then you can then draw value. Because if you're creating value for them in one way, then you can extract value or ask for value from them in terms of sales, in terms of subscriptions, in terms of different things. Then there's also the value you create for other people. There's the value you create once you have an audience. Now there's people who are like sponsors and other things. Now they can benefit from the value you created for them, and then they will value your audience, and that's where things like affiliate marketing come for things where you recommend things to other people and then they pay you to recommend them, but the only reason they recommend it or they believe in you is because you created this relationship with your audience. So you can see there's these 3 or 4 different buckets where it is not just, "I have to play, I have to show up, I have to sing, I have to dance, I have to" there's places where you create these other areas where you are then creating value, and then you can create sources of income from those other value propositions. All right, so I wanna get to this real quick. Looks like we're having a little internet issue. Hopefully, you guys can still see it here, okay? LLC or 501(c)(3). Okay, so, to kinda get into this a little bit, you're talking about corporate structure now, okay? So I've heard a lot of this talk about, okay, should I incorporate my business as an artist. Now, I'll just first talk about what I've done, And then obviously these are kind of discussions. I would highly recommend you check out my friend Sam Mabry. She's going to be one of the experts. She that we have in our 12 days of giveaways, which is going on right now. But she's a tax accountant and financial advisor, and I love using her as our resource and guiding gigs for questions like this. So you want to check out Sam Mabry at Tax Guru Sam. That's her email. That's her website. But the LLC, obviously, for some of you may know, is a limited liability company. That's a for-profit type thing where you, in most states, depending on if you're in the U.S., you are now forming a company that you can be a managing manager of, and then you can be a single member LLC. I'm not a lawyer, nor am I a corporate accountant, or anything like that. But just to kind of make it simple, LLC is where you own the business, but you're short forming a separate corporation. A 501(c)(3) is a nonprofit type of business. So the question I would ask for you, Manuel, and for anybody else that's considering this is what's the goal of your business, your art business, your creative business? What's the goal? If the goal is to be a for-profit, you need to create a for-profit structure. But then, of course, for a nonprofit still can pay and take care of you and pay the expenses of the people who own the nonprofit. A nonprofit does not mean that you don't ever make any money. It just means that money is never designed for it to be simply dispersed to a bunch of people who are shareholders or to make a profit. It is simply that it's reinvested back into the company or back into the charity. So my question to you is again, like, what's your goal? What's your goal for that? Is your goal to create a corporation that will continually hire more people, that will grow, that will help you sustain and maybe have some other again, this is not a great one for me to answer because I don't wanna get into, like, the weeds of the tax structure and stuff like that. That's something for Sam, and some other people that know a lot more about that. But I definitely would say, God and Gigs and Paul Creative Services is formed as a LLC because it's my business. It is not a nonprofit entity because the goal of my company is to eventually grow and to be bigger and to be able to have something that my kids can have. And that means that I formed it in that way as a for-profit corporation. Doesn't mean it can't be religious, doesn't mean that it's like not, designed as a really a very outward ministerial type thing, but it does mean that in the corporate structure, it's not designed to be a nonprofit. Okay, I hope that helps. I know it's not exactly the perfect answer because I'm definitely recommending that you check out somebody else who has more of that. Like I said, Tax Guru Sam is my suggestion for you for that. But great question, great question. So talking about the different buckets, okay? We're talking about the value propositions or the value, not necessarily propositions, um, the value containers, I can say, that you can create to create income. Now, in my case, how's that? Oh, God, got it. Well, hey, if that friend, hopefully that friend helps out, helps out your friend. Okay, so here's the thing. I need to answer the question why. And I think I started to answer the question why creators feel broke. And again, it's because of the mindset, it's the mentality, it's the idea that I don't belong, I don't have the resources, I don't have the know-how. I keep posting and nobody likes it, and all those other different things, and it closes you down to this concept that you are a victim of the circumstances of the economy, the creator economy. And again, this does not mean that you can create something overnight and it's just gonna be a roaring success. No, like, I know that my business could be doing better now if I made better choices and made more investments. One big thing that I can say, and this is a big thing that people don't like to hear, if you are not investing in your own business, you cannot expect your business to grow. That's a spiritual principle and a financial principle. If you're just even if it's sweat equity and you're working hard, but you're not really thinking about financially investing in yourself, getting the tools, buying tools that will help you get a system. I would say things as simple as the things that you have to have to become a savvy and a financially well put together creative is that you have to get together your email list. There's three things I would say you have to track. Okay, I thought I was thinking about this the other day. There's three C's. If you want to be a real business and not be broke, You have to track, number one, the most obvious thing, you have to track your cash. You have to monitor your cash. You have to actually say, "How much money do I make? How much did I make? How much what do I want to make? Where is the money coming from? How much did I spend?" So if you are not tracking your cash and actually looking at it and putting it in a separate account, okay? A separate bank account. It cannot be the only time that my business actually became a business is when I created a business account. That was just for that. I was not robbing from people to pay Paul. I was not paying my regular bills out of that account. It became just business, and only business things came out of the business account. Again, these are the things that creators don't like to think about, but you should not be, saying that you want to still be in the business of music or business of creativity and just getting gig checks and putting it right in your account and spending it. That's not a business. That's a hobby. Okay, so number one, you got to track your cash. The second thing that you have to track if you're going to be a real business and not be a broke creative is you have to track your customers. And when I say track your customers, it doesn't mean again that you're going to be like tracking them like you're sneaking up and spying on them with the whole Instagram and the thing where your ads pop up. But in a sense, I am saying that because Facebook allows you to do that. You're able to do that. If people opt in, you can track where your customers are. You can use the email service like ConvertKit, which I highly recommend to keep reaching out to them. And then when you are emailing your customers and your audience, you can track and be aware of what they like, when they like. You can respond to them, and they then help you see, oh, I need to sell more of this. I need to do more of this. I need to do more of this. So you've got to be aware of your cash. You've got to be aware of your customers. And here's the third thing you have to track, and that will make you a not broke creative. You got to track your connections. Now, these are two different things. Customers are the people that are funding you through paying for services, paying for your art. The connections are the relationships you're making with other artists, and the service I'm using right now that is really helping me to keep track of those relationships is called Clay. And so I'm using Clay right now, Clay.Earth, I think it is, and it's allowing me to connect all of my connections between um, LinkedIn and Facebook and my personal emails and all that kind of stuff. And it's reminding me, hey, reach out to this person. Hey, reach out to this person. And it's helping me connect those dots between those connections I've made so that if there's an opportunity for me to collaborate with somebody, I don't have to go searching through my Instagram or whatever to try to find people and like you waiting for the algorithm. I actually have that working for me. So it reminds me, hey, you haven't reached out to such and such in 3 years or 3 months or whatever. You should send an email to this person. You should connect with this person. So those three areas, if you're not tracking your cash, if you're not tracking and staying connected with your customers through email, if you're not tracking your connections and keeping a running, dialogue with your network, it's going to be very hard for you to make it as a creative. And by the way, all this I'm throwing at you right now is all based on all of the creators we interviewed for the last 5, 6 years, over 250 episodes, and probably about 100, at least 150 interviews with creatives who are all saying the same thing. You gotta create a community. You've got to get serious about being a business person that thinks like, "How can I create value for people in different ways?" There's just so many things, areas I could go into that I can't all address at one. I would definitely recommend you check out, there's so many good podcasts that I could recommend from our own vault. I would say I'm gonna get on my phone real quick. Forgive me, I'm gonna make sure I can pull up a couple because I like to share an actual episode that can help you guys. Let me pull out my app real quick and see. I'm thinking right now, number one, the one with Tax Guru Sam is for sure one I would recommend, and I'm gonna put her in right now. And that is episode what episode is that? 121. So I'm gonna put that in real quick. Okay, so episode 121. And if you check that out, I guarantee you, you'll see so many great ways that you can monetize and how you can think like a business person. Another one, I could do this all day. I really got to be careful because I could just go into all of the podcasts that we've done and just tell you a million of them that would help you. And I'm gonna try not to get caught up in just doing this in front of you, which is not a good video. But that is really the gist of what I wanted to share today. I'm gonna hang on for a couple more minutes if there's other questions, Manuel, if you have something else, and I'm waiting for this to pop up. So, but that is my story for you today. That is my goal for you for 2024, really. Oh, and I need to tell you this because if you're watching on replay or live, the 12 days of giveaways is still going on if you're watching this um, before Christmas, because I'm definitely not gonna be doing this next year. Because this is the video that you're watching because it's the last video before the holidays, and we are doing the 12 days of creative giveaways, and the giveaway is I'm giving away essentially the entire Guiding Gigs membership except for life coaching for $1 bill. That is all it takes, and we are giving away 12 best tips for 2024 from people like Sam Mabry, people like Shante Khan, people like Jermaine Morgan, bass player who's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers or tens of thousands of subscribers on YouTube, and, who else? So many, oh my gosh, my mind just popped up. Rich Kirkpatrick, writer of Mind Blown, who worked with so many worship teams and musicians and studies the art of creativity, so many different experts. I'm listing each one of them. Actually, I gave away a couple I wasn't supposed to give away yet. So watch this space, watch this YouTube space, watch the Facebook space, and the Instagram space because we're announcing one. I want to find this other website. This is going to drive me crazy. I want to find one more site for you guys or one more post for you guys for business. Wait, give me a second. I know I shouldn't do this now, but I want to do it. Oh, there's so many good ones. I don't even know which one I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick one more. Let's put in business. As you can see, guys, I'm right here on the God and Gigs website, the podcast website, and we're gonna go to I would have to say the one with John Mike. What number is that? 233? Yeah, 233. So either one of those guys, I mean, but if you just go to godandgigs.com/podcast and then just type in business, you're gonna see all the things we've talked about. So godandgigs.com/podcast, but here's a direct one. If you go to this one, definitely check out episode 233, 223. Oh, it should be 233. Whoops, I messed it up. Okay. Just go to godandgigs.com/podcast so you don't mess if I don't mess that up. Okay. So that again has been our creative checkup for today. I really, really, really hope you'll check it for the 12 days, 4 days, the 12 days of creative giveaways. And that is here. And all you gotta do is go to godandgigs.com/12 days, and you can get $1. I mean, let me be honest, because every time I say this, I feel like we're being a little bit, cheap, and people may not realize the value of what I'm sharing if it's just $1. This is the holidays. Holidays is when I want to be as generous as possible, and so because we have all these business trainings, because all these people sharing inside our membership, I didn't want there to be any barriers, and, other than it being free, like, what's closest thing to free? $1. I was like, "Okay, so it's giving it away for $1," which, I mean, again, I'm not trying to be mean and be silly about it, but, if you can't afford, to pay $1 into your creative business, then I can't help you. You're not serious. I'm sorry. So, this is where, like I said, the next 12 days well, no, we're what? How many days away till Christmas? See, I can't even do the math. I think we're 9 days, right? 9 days away? So for the next 9 days, okay, that is where you can get in. Thank you for joining us, by the way, if you're joining us, we're not wrapping up just as yet. If you have a question about music business, about creative business, feel free to jump in before we close out this creative checkup. My name is Alan. If you're new, and you can always comment. If you're in the group, by the way, I know comments don't work all the time in the group. So if you're in the group and you're watching and you can't figure out oh, and if you're watching on Instagram, please let me know because that'd be cool because I have not been able to see how Instagram is working out. Oh my gosh, look at these. I did not see all these comments. Oh my goodness. This is my first time doing this, y'all. Instagram, I am so sorry. The sound is going in and out a certain time. This is our first time doing this, guys, so I apologize if the Instagram is not working great. It might be the internet, but I did not see all you guys here on Instagram because they're not showing me these comments. So it's 2 separate I should have said something. I'm sorry, guys. I had no idea that there was a separate feed. I gotta look at 2 different things to make sure I keep up with it. Alright, so Sam was here. Let me see who else we had here. Oh my gosh, I feel bad. I'm sorry I didn't greet you guys at all. Paula was here. Lavelle, if you're still in the building. Manuel, you're checking. Okay, cool. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I am getting used to this. I'm getting used to the fact that there is 2 feeds now because our first time using StreamYard to go through Instagram. So now I'm seeing what you're seeing, and I did not see all these comments. I am so sorry that I did not keep up with you guys. All right, so I'm gonna try to look at 2 screens at once now. You can see that I'm like my attention is divided. Um, let's see. All right, yeah. All right, okay. I gotta get used to this now. All right, so if I didn't answer to your comment, I apologize if I missed your comment on the Instagram side because, like I said, I got a couple of things to pay attention to. And I understand that's probably why the internet was acting a little crazy as well. Let me try to move things around so I can actually see comments. If I go like this, put one down here, go to the bottom, and put this one up here. Nah, I can't see everything right now. So, all right, forgive me, guys. If I missed you on IG, thank you for joining us. We had a lot of folks joining us on IG, and I didn't even catch it. Yeah, and I see what's happening with the internet. Okay, so I'm gonna work on that. Y'all, if you wanna give me a Christmas gift, internet booster would be great because that's probably what we're gonna need if we're gonna be going live more often, which I have been doing for a lot. Okay. So thank you guys so much for joining this creative checkup. Once again, the 12 days is going on right now. Let's put this in Instagram because I did not realize it was there. The 12 days of creative gifts is going on. Why'd you put dog? I thought you put okay, so now my keyboard is going backwards. Wow. I have a dyslexic keyboard. Interesting. Alright. I tried to put God and to put dog. That's a new one, never seen that before. Okay, anyway, let me just stay focused. Alright. This whole Instagram thing just threw me off entirely. Alright, so the 12 days of creative gifts are going on, $1 membership into God and Gigs. All of our features except for our live coaching, which is God and Gigs 360 Gold, which you can also check out, okay? But the $1 will get you 12 extra bonus tips from creatives who are going to help you. And I'm sharing that on Instagram, I'm sharing that on a Facebook group so you guys can find out what's going on. But thank you so much for joining this creative checkup. Unless there's a question, now I feel bad because I feel like I left I left Instagram out. So if Instagram has any questions at all, I'm gonna keep scrolling. See if nope, I don't see any questions here. All right. So yeah, please check out the godandgigs.com/12 days. Godandgigs.com/12 days. Like I said, I couldn't type it on Instagram because it wouldn't act up. It was acting up. All right. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for joining this creative checkup. And I will see you. Well, have a Merry Christmas because I won't see you next week. I would definitely not see any of you next week. If you're watching this on replay, have a wonderful Christmas. May God bless you. Have a wonderful 2023, 2024, I should say. Beginning of 2024, we'll probably check in at the beginning of the year. And if you have not joined our email list, but I just mentioned the email list, godandgigs.com/info, godandgigs.com/info. will get you into the email list, and that way you can find out what we're doing throughout the weeks, even if I'm not gonna be on social, because we are celebrating the birth of our Savior and enjoying some time with family. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.